ever game.
Standing room in frigid New England. Round 2 of the Open Cup, where vacation land was dreamland just 2 short weeks ago. Hearts winning their first ever match. Now, the chance at a cup set. Portland Hearts of Pine against Hartford Athletic of the USL Championship. With Jamie Watson, Mike Watts, and you look at these two sides, Hartford at times has struggled to find relevancy in the championship, but they are no doubt the favorite in this match.
Without a doubt, and I expect two teams expecting to go for it in the first 10 minutes. Should be a lot of energy from both sides. Both teams willing and able to try to gain the momentum early, and especially that key first goal of tonight's match.
These sides will meet in April in the Jägermeister Cup. They met in preseason, so they should know each other well, but you didn't really know what Portland was until they got on the field and defeated Violence in the first round.
About 5 years in the making for this moment, and it could not have gone better for Bobby Murphy's men. What a moment, what an occasion for everybody involved. A 4-0 win for the first win in the first ever match. Historic for Portland Hearts of Pine.
Conversely, Hartford Athletic didn't really have any trouble with New York Shockers, but the scoreline wouldn't shock you.
It was not anything that we didn't expect from this Hartford side. They were professional, they were dominant, it was convincing, and for Hartford, they need to try to replicate this performance again tonight to get back to winning ways and to advance on to the third round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
And here are the lineups that have been assembled. Let's be honest, both sides are saying we're not in a position to decide this is a game worthy of our second team lineup. This is about the best each side has.
And that's exactly what both managers should be doing at this point, going for that coveted spot in the third round. Keep an eye on Hartford Athletic. Slight tactical shift to a 3-4-3 formation. That's with an emphasis to try to get more numbers forward, try to push the tempo of the match, pin Hearts of Pine back. Hearts of Pine, though, looking to break out. They've got Titus Washington up top who can help hold the ball up when they're under pressure to alleviate some of that pressure from Hartford Athletic.
Well, could you have imagined a better way to open your club's, hopefully in the long run, extensive history in America's Cup? Sure, it's not quite your venue yet, but it sure feels that way. They clap in unison here in favor of this club, which has only existed on the field for about 2 weeks' time.
You want to talk about the moments you remember forever? It's when you have standing room only, chanting in unison. Those are the moments you remember forever. This is why you play the game, for moments like that.
Fitzpatrick Stadium will be ready in a month. In the meantime, from Lewiston High School. Big matchup in New England out of League One, Portland Hearts of Pine from the championship, Hartford Athletic. Round 2, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is underway in the state of Maine. What a magnificent atmosphere it was, and it's 37 degrees, and you wouldn't know it. They may be bundled up, but they are certainly numerous here in Lewiston. They've been excited about this opportunity for a long time. They're ready for the occasion as the ball slammed away. And out on the run here, Hartford, ball falls in front, takes a deflection from Mamadou Dang. Dieng has already scored in the championship this year in 3 games. He had 11 in 30 games last year. A lot of speed, Jamie, in this Hartford team. When you talk to the Portland manager, keep this game in front of you. The longer it's 0-0, the better off they are.
Not a very wide field, so with that space is in behind. As a back four, you're going to give yourself ample opportunity to be able to read the game. If you start maybe 5 to 7 yards deeper than you prefer, you keep the action in front of you. Anything over the top can find its way all the way through to the goalkeeper to be able to collect and go again.
And there's Hunter Morse. 12 starts in Cincinnati with their second team in Next Pro the last 2 years. Off that of Washington and wide. And so Hartford take it, and can they run with it? Galena. How do you get Edwards and Dieng and Galena on the field at the same time? The answer was a shape change. Big switch from Scarlett. The diagonal hits pay dirt. However, it's met and knocked out of play by Portland.
Got to be a better angle for Messer there as that's hanging in the air. He's got to be able to read the trajectory, because a better secondary touch really puts Hartford into a dangerous and advantageous position. Now with this condensed field width-wise, every throw-in becomes like a corner kick. Watch the second ball flicked on.
Tossed into the area, there's the flick. Kept away from Hairston. The U.S. Open Cup has a little bit of a baseball feel to it, in the sense that every field's a little bit different. More often than not, these players have never seen the opponent's home ground before. Such the case tonight for Hartford. It is brand new turf that will be at Fitzpatrick Stadium. This a little bit more worn in. Hartford does play on turf at home ground, and it is a more condensed field. Jones-Riley. Steps in, here comes Scalina. Samadia launching early.
If the first 3.5 minutes are an indication of what we can expect for the rest of the evening, this looks like it's going to be a track meet. Athletic, bypassing the midfield at times, and one of the worst things you can do on a tight field like this when it's really fast-paced is take too many touches. Let the ball do the work quickly, get the ball moving, and if you're under pressure, don't be afraid to turn and clip it in behind.
Brendan Burke is explaining what the yellow lines mean. Very vocal coach of Hartford Athletic.
We enjoyed talking to both managers this week, didn't we?
We did. Brendan Burke in his second year at the helm, 42 years old, the 6th head coach for Hartford since launching in 2019. Bobby Murphy, the inaugural manager, 55 years old, from Dallas, named in November. Bright moment here for Portland, getting in behind. And reaching the end line, swerved across, seeking Titus Washington. And a corner for Hearts of Pine.
This is good understanding about when to be able to go. And the moment was on for the overlapping run from Messer, who scored a wonderful free kick in the opening round. And then it's driving forward. The tracking back, though, really puts him under pressure. So Messer gets about the best case scenario, winning this corner. And these set pieces are a big point of emphasis tonight for Hearts of Pine.
All whipped across and caught by Anthony Siaha. First-year goalkeeper who finished second in the league last year at Monterey Bay in the championship in saves.
Speaking of the Open Cup in Siaha, he's had incredible runs with NISA sides and then with championship sides. So this is a goalkeeper that has been in these moments before. Those kind of services that are whipped in to go and hang up is bread and butter for Siaha, and he is commanding of his box, and that is a tough one. Is that just is Kamali Green trying to get out of the way, knowing he's going to absorb the contact, but Siaha had the vantage point, had the angle, and fair play to Siaha. He goes and catches it, and Green, good to see him back up slowly but surely making his way.
Kamali Green, born and raised in Jamaica, formed in the Union Academy, went to Lock Haven Small University in Division II in Pennsylvania, and then 4 years at Temple. During his stint there, he actually helped the Owls to their longest consecutive shutout streak since 1959. Do get the feeling Bobby Murphy's really high on the young center back.
Green is a player absolutely that has a higher ceiling, and at just 24 years old, this is the type of setting playing for this manager where he can get games week in and week out. And with that, this is a big key moment in this early matchup to see if Green is going to be okay. because he is going to be a pivotal role tonight for Hearts of Pine.
Looks like Azad Liati is getting a bit of attention at the touchline too. Green continues to be attended to. Temps are hovering in the mid-30s at kickoff here in Maine. Siaha looks on. Cameroonian-born goalkeeper who was raised in Arizona, was part of the Casa Grande Academy at Real Salt Lake. Ultimately went the collegiate route, Bakersfield, then Ottawa University, then Benedictine University, before latching on with a Arena League team, then San Diego under Landon Donovan. Didn't play there, but 3 years at Monterey Bay, became the #1 for Frank Yala for the past 2 seasons. Green's back up. That draws a smattering of applause. And Siaha puts it back in play to Joey Farrell.
I thought you were going to tell us what Siaha had for lunch earlier today. You knew everything about him.
Well, he's been around the block. Decent ball into the mixer. Smashed forward by Marlon Hairston. Put outside by Dieng. Hairston was making the run. Swept into Dieng. Outside for Galena, the former championship newcomer of the year. This will run out of play. Corner for Hartford.
Little mental errors like that cannot happen for Hearts early on. That was a moment where a shout has to happen from a teammate to let you know you've got more time to be able to control it. But when you quickly panic, you give away a corner kick inside the first 10 minutes to the visitors. This could be a moment in which they take advantage of the gift that you've just given them.
Hartford totally undone by set pieces in their 2-1 loss on the weekend to El Paso. Chance to run out for Portland. Messer charging, Washington crossing, sliding off the post. Liati, and cleared away by Hartford Athletic. What a vicious counter off the set piece.
This is the exact moment that Hearts of Pine were waiting for to go and press. Keep an eye on Liati, who's now racing through. This is going to make its way through. This is a touch from Siaha. To go back against the grain and get enough to push it off the post is a ridiculous display of athleticism from Siaha. What an important moment to push that onto the post and keep it 0-0.
Ball up forward again. Poor touch, and Liati was on the doorstep, snapped up by Siaha. Hartford is yet to gain a point through 3 games in the championship season. There was a call from Brendan Burke for the veterans to stand up and be counted at this stage. Said, we aren't rotating, not after the performance we had on the weekend, and a couple of shaky moments back to back.
Good little combination play going on between Messer and Ollie Wright. Those two have been really good on the far side for Pines. That's something that Hartford is going to have to be more aware of in the breakout moments.
Tapped over by Poon Angaron, full Trinidadian international. Twisting through the air, no whistle from the official. Messer arrives. Skew into the air, grabbed by Siaha. The offside flag was raised. How many flasks do you think were snuck through security for this game?
Let's check the attendance, and whatever about, I don't know, 75% of that number is. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself because it would be 100%.
It just feels like a very chilly night on their alternate ground. Just not sure they're selling what's necessary tonight.
You're talking about apple cider, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I always carry a thermos in my Open Cup games. You're right, Jamie.
I keep that thing on me.
Dropped off by Samadia. And the clearance banged off of him to Varela, who scored the first goal in Portland history in the Open Cup's opening round in the 17th minute.
Yeah, I think Varela made a mistake there, though, trying to switch the play. When that ball turned over and carried back towards him, there were two teammates on the near side that had a numbers overload, and Varela opts to go the other way. Just really bad decision-making in that moment. There's a better option to be had. Touch.
Pays a pretty immediate price for that. Referee's left his whistle in the locker room. This deflects out over the line for a goal kick.
I'm a bit surprised as Ollie Wright won that and looked to play it through. It looked as though he was impeded by Anderson on the far side, but our referee, Kyle Averill, disagrees.
Welcome the adoring masses watching on YouTube and engaging in the comments. CBS Sports announcing a partnership that'll see matches gain more notoriety in later rounds throughout the tournament earlier this week. But for the time being, you get to watch Portland and Hartford with us. Inside a quarter hour of this second round game. That kept in at the end line seemingly, but it bounced to Samadia after it had already crossed the line. You know, Samadia, such an interesting player. You look at what Brendan Burke did at Bethlehem Steel, the Union affiliate, goes to Colorado Springs. The ability to bring along young players has always been a key for him. This is a huge ball knocked over the top, and it'll carry him out over the line. He made note, Samadia, a week and a half ago, was playing against Mohamed Salah and Egypt with Sierra Leone. And here he is playing in the Open Cup against a League One side in Lewiston, Maine.
Absolutely incredible, right? I mean, it's no slight on Varela, but a little slight difference between.
Ball prodded away, took a heavy deflection. Galena could never quite corral it.
That is a bit careless in the way in which Portland are trying to play out of the back there, and Kamali Green has to be able to be sure about that moment and how he decides to Cruyff and pull it back. That's not the place. You cannot make that mistake inside of your own 18, and Hearts of Pine are let off the hook.
Here's Jaden Jones-Riley, who played for the other Portland the last couple of years, the one in Oregon with Timbers too. Lena tried to pull it away, Jones-Riley. Scarlett, Samadia.
One thing I'm really impressed with on the first 15, 16 minutes of this match is the willingness to fight from Portland Hearts of Pine of every single ball that they're chasing down. Looks like a loose ball. Titus Washington goes and presses there. And because he does that, the ball doesn't roll out harmlessly for a goal kick. No, it stays in. Then the panic clearance from Samadia out of the building. And now this throw-in because of it.
Jones-Riley. It's an awkward clearance, and now he'll get to play it with his feet. Jones-Riley, end line cutback. To your point, there's a 10-yard hash that's usually between the corner flag and the edge of the box. You'll note there is no hash mark. That may be an idea of just how tight the confines are here.
That's one of those things that both teams have to play with it, right? So who can adapt to it quickly? And at the end of the day, the Open Cup is not necessarily about performances being remembered, it's about results. And right now, you got to roll your sleeves up and be willing to do whatever it takes to get that result, to get that spot in the third round of the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup.
With an opponent to be determined, that's where the rest of the championship teams, the ones that made the playoffs last year, will enter. The following round, the round of 32, is where we'll see the MLS entrants come into the field. Ball tapped over by Varela, who scored in the inaugural game for the club. Indeed, 2 weeks ago was his 28th birthday. What a way to celebrate. Illicitly gained by Marlon Hairston. 9 years in MLS, 140 games. Unlike the former MLS players for Des Moines Menace, he is still in his career. Varela, Jaden Jones-Riley crossing, skims all the way across. Messer returning to Ollie Wright. Messer serves. Liati, that was somewhat unintentional. Punangron forces this back. And Dieng chasing. It's funny, these teams played in preseason. Hartford scheduled games on back-to-back days and essentially threw out a dummy lineup against Portland. So while Hearts of Pine won the game 4-0, and eyebrows around New England all raised in unison, both sides recognize there may not be a ton to be gained from that experience.
And that was with the thought process that they were in the same group later on in the tournament for the Jägermeister Cup on April 26th, where they'll play together. And as you alluded to earlier with that Jägermeister Cup, they understood, did Hartford Athletic, that in that moment, if they roll out their full team, they get a glimpse early on, do Hearts of Pine, of what Hartford are capable of. So you throw that pseudo dummy team out, and then the way it all works out, they actually meet in the second round. So these two teams, that 4-0 preseason result is really, as you pointed out, no impact in today, other than the fact that Hartford maybe got more of a glimpse of Hearts of Pine than vice versa.
This escaped the line. That second meeting in April will be in Hartford. And for those uninitiated, essentially, Jägermeister Cup is similar to the Carabao Cup in England, as opposed to the FA Cup would be like the Open Cup. So a league competition within USL, as opposed to this, America's tournament. Past 20 minutes, satisfied if you're Portland in the way this has gone?
Absolutely. I think that Portland are even showing a willingness to try to build out under pressure. A tight field on turf and a cold night with a team that's pressing. And right now, this is a really good start from Bobby Murphy's side. As this hits our referee, Kyle Averill, and it'll be the uncontested drop ball to get us going again. But I think of the two managers, Bobby Murphy will be the more pleased, simply because the longer this goes 0-0, the more pressure that starts to mount with Hartford Athletic and Brendan Burke's side.
It was fun talking to Bobby Murphy. He was the interim not once but twice in Orlando. Ball knocked across by Galena. Dieng was running. Edwards was there too. Back over to Samadia. Will take that space and launch an early cross with a header that goes out of play from Dieng.
This was a tremendous service. There's so much deception in the way he's going to strike this. Is he going to hit a cross? Is this going to be a shot? Instead, it's just a well-weighted ball, and Kamali Green loses track of Dieng in that moment, and you cannot do that. That's a little bit of a let-off for Hearts.
We were talking to Bobby Murphy about it. He replaced Adrian Heath as an interim, then eventually Jason Price as an interim. They're doing a $2.5 million renovation of Fitzpatrick Stadium in Maine, so this is just a temporary home. The ability to build a culture in the image that he believes should be made, in part reflecting the community that they're in, but whether it's sporting or how they go about their business, was so enticing to him. Ball through, Dieng, touch, wide, and held now by Hunter Morse. Difficult one cut across the grain that Morse was up to the task on.
Well, this is how quickly the counterattacks can happen on a smaller pitch. One ball breaks the line, and that is a authoritative ball played across. That was catching everybody off guard, but Morris was up to the task. And you were saying about Bobby Murphy and building the culture. That is a wonderful project and an undertaking that not many managers get to do in their career, do they, right? Start a club from scratch.
He's a guy who actually coached at Southern Maine very early in his post-playing career before ending up in Texas with you for quite some time. Ended up in Orlando for a number of years under a number of administrations.
Look at Bobby Murphy taking this project on. We see how the foul occurred and a little bit overzealous in the attempt to try to win the ball. But one story that I think really speaks volumes to Bobby Murphy and who he is as a person, and somebody that I've gotten to know very well over the course of my career, is the night before, excuse me, the day before the first game of the Open Cup, Bobby Murphy took all of the players to the front office. Mind you, this club has been 5 years in the making. And he made sure that he was able to speak to every person in front of the front office and say, I know we're on the cusp of everything that this club has been building towards to game one. So we wanted to come in here and look you in the eye and say thank you for all the work that you've done to get the players and the team to this point ready to go out and put a product on the field. Because before it was just an idea. It was a conception of what could be, and then it was becoming a reality the next night, the opening round of the Open Cup. And Bobby Murphy doing that goes to show how much he cares about this club from top to bottom. The players on the field are certainly his top priority, but also every single element of the club gets that same level of validation and importance to the project. Everybody's a piece to the puzzle, and not many coaches would think I need to make sure that I'm thanking the people that sell the tickets, that also sell sponsorships, all the things, but Bobby Murphy is that way, and I think that's why he's a perfect leader for this club.
Assad Liati had a brace in the Open Cup opener. This never quite got the curl nor the dip that was intended.
Again, just quick breakouts can happen and transitional moments, good strength being shown by Varela. The weight on the pass on a turf field is inch perfect, playing the ball in. That's a clever run, though, from Washington. It's just going to create that space for Ollie Wright. Wright's a bit flat-footed, so it's difficult to get that pace and that bend that he's trying to. Nonetheless, it's just a good warning effort.
Wright spent the last 2 seasons at Huntsville in MLS Next Pro. You can feel Portland getting more comfortable just based on where they're meeting Hartford and forcing them into these long balls forward. Dieng runs amok with the offside line. May we show you some techers?
Absolutely, just a ping and no problem. I got that.
You do a lot right, but you do one thing wrong, which is being offside, of course.
It's all for nothing in the end, ultimately, but my goodness. Looks like us when we like to go knock the ball around, isn't it?
It looks like one of us. These are orthotics, by the way, that I'm wearing.
Is that why you're able to cushion it?
Yeah, that's it.
So nicely? All right.
Did you see Louisville City is promoting, instead of torpedo bats like baseball, torpedo boots? They just hit different.
Might be on to something here.
Yeah.
And that's a data 3. I appreciate that joke you just made.
Drops in here to Kyle Edwards. Able to slice back. Portland comes off a 0-0 draw described as a bit of a street fight in Naples against a fellow expansion side in League One. Somehow flicked outside by Liotti. Options percolating in white. Spinning back to the end line. Ball chipped across. Header is above the bar. Nearly everything was inch perfect. And the final effort is a letdown. What a start for Portland through half an hour.
Just incredible understanding of who your two center forwards are. So as this ball is going to ultimately get hung up by Messer, you see Washington, but most importantly, you see Liotti. And you just go hang it up, say, go up and get it, Liotti. It's just one step short on the ladder for Liotti to be able to climb to get over the ball. But my goodness, what a dream that is to have the cultivated left foot of Nathan Messer and just the aerial prowess of Liotti and Washington looming.
Crushed upfield, header finds Morse. Hunter Morse, cool story. Out of Bellevue, Michigan, goes to Michigan State, ends up starting for about a year and a half. But just because you go to a big name program doesn't mean that you're going to the best fit for you. So he ends up leaving after 3 years and about a season and a half as the first choice keeper. Goes to Western Michigan, ends up having a phenomenal 2022 season, leads them all the way to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. That gets him drafted to Cincinnati. And after a year in which he essentially sat on his hands, was an on-again, off-again starter last season, and he's got the gloves for a brand new club to begin 2025. Off the head of Makingila. He was with Anthony Siaha in San Diego, one of Landon Donovan's finds. He and Nate Miller watched every single player on that roster when they went away get signed to a pro deal somewhere else. Samadia couldn't keep this in play. I think one thing that maybe gets underrated about the Open Cup, if you're going to be a first-year club, New Mexico did it, Omaha did it in early years. Madison had some moments, no doubt, in early years. You can get a lot of excitement around your club from day one playing some knockout football.
Without a doubt. I mean, look at what the opening day was like, and then now it's followed up. Everybody sees how great it was, and you create a little bit of FOMO from the scenes and all the videos that sort of come out from that round one matchup. And if you weren't there for round one, well, where were you? And if you missed out, certainly you didn't want to for this one. So now it starts to create this can't miss environment.
Yeah.
And what an occasion we have here tonight in this match. Although it's still scoreless 30 minutes in, it's had its moments where it's gotten people loud off their feet and cheering, and this could be another one.
That's a rough square ball. Liotti leads the charge. Angles this all the way back, top of the penalty area. Washington, no. Jones-Riley helping to chase it down. Vinberg stepped forward. Galena swings it outside as support joining in Samadia. A field from Scarlett. Here's Samadia. That's a big pocket of space around Galena if they can get it there.
Absolutely, was just begging for it, but it's good closing down. If it was half step late closing down from Hearts of Pine, Galena was going to be able to get an entry pass, plenty of time to turn.
Played by Jones-Riley. I would have let that play.
I agree. I'm not sure that there was a need for the whistle. The advantage was with Varela, who had taken the ball down and nobody was pressing from Hartford. Jones-Riley does ever so well to take that down under pressure. Not even a ton necessarily in the challenge. He was off balance, but he was trying to clear it before it got away from him and carried over the touchline. So an unnecessary whistle.
Makingila. Flummoxed in midfield. From his knees, able to knock this back. Hartford retains. Flutters over top, hammered away from Galena by Vinberg. Portland, one of the youngest teams in pro soccer in the country right now, that does not play in Next Pro.
Well, Bobby Murphy giving opportunities for players. How many coaches do that? How many coaches have the willingness to do that?
I recognize that was a heavy asterisk. Ball into the area. Return to sender. Anderson. Plucked out of the air. Now aimed at frame. That's off target. Better from Hartford. Something of nothing.
Well, so far for Hartford, they haven't necessarily been able to break down Hearts of Pine. So set pieces then become an opportunity which you can capitalize and create. That doesn't miss by much. We're fading away, trying to get it up and down over Morse, and that is a quick snapshot of what can happen on these set pieces as the second ball becomes equally as important as the first pass.
All running toward Washington. A championship player all day, Bobby Murphy describes. Perhaps, although a little bit naive, naivety that comes from a bit of youth. 24, but fresh out of Seattle University. Gliding in front of Kyle Edwards and all the way back to Morse. You watch Hartford and you go, they need someone pulling strings in midfield.
Yeah, there's a big gap right now, even just collectively. It's that leadership right now to keep the group connected and organized. It just seems as though there's lines for Portland.
Liotti got it out. Jones-Riley snapped up. They didn't find a lack of advantage there. They did get the cross away, I suppose. Dieng, Vinberg dealt with that amicably, or less so than I thought. But eventually they're going to get Cariaga, who comes in for Memphis. Once he's healthy, they think that's a partial fix in midfield. And then we'll see what the loan market looks like, which really begins to pick up in a couple weeks' time around the championship in League One. Some guys begin to separate from their next pro side, but not quite ready for the MLS spotlight. Elsewhere, contracts expiring at the end of the year may not be in the future plans. Might just be a young guy that needs experience against more grown-up players. But the loan market usually starts to cook when MLS teams start getting booted out of the Open Cup.
Brendan Burke knows it well. His time in Major League Soccer, he'll have the connections and the abilities to pick up the phone, and been around long enough and well-liked to be able to say, who can we add to this group that can help us and help you develop a player for the future?
Rhode Island, San Antonio, teams that have used the loan market to really great effect over the last couple of years. Colorado Springs did it last year en route to winning the championship. Hartford will certainly have their eye on it. Here's Azad Liotti. Jones-Riley has gotten pretty familiar with that pirouette on the ball and won a free kick.
Big pocket of space in the middle that could have been played into, but was looked off.
Liati. 25 yards out, what a move! Varela!
Varela's quickly becoming a fan favorite with his ability and around the box, and watch the footwork. Don't bite on the first one. That's very fortunate. That doesn't end up in the back of the net for Hartford for multiple reasons. One, score line. Two, that's a gift that you never stop seeing if you break some ankles and put a top corner.
Varela wasn't even playing professional soccer last year after get let go in Chattanooga in 2023, and he just left Marlon Hairston strewn out on the turf. A guy with well over 100 appearances in Major League Soccer.
By the way, a very good player, Marlon Hairston. So it goes to show there's a little bit of deception in Varela's game and the agility to swivel the hips and drop a shoulder.
Chased down by Jordan Scarlett. Omar Hernandez strikes first in the Chattanooga derby. Red Wolves ahead of FC. That is the League One side ahead of the Next Pro side, those keeping track at home. Am I wrong in saying, I know you've played in every level in this tournament. Have you scored at every level in this tournament, every level of the pyramid?
I believe so, yeah. I think so.
Although not yet as a full sort of amateur Sunday League team, right?
Wow.
I mean, you did it in the League Two more. There was a plan in place when you scored from the 4th division, right?
Yeah, there was. That was about 18 years old, the early days. Yeah, I mean, I wonder, is there, you know, are you asking me, can I do it on a cold Tuesday night in a men's league park in round 1? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see if I can make it through warm-ups without pulling a muscle.
All your Apple TV colleagues are out here playing in Des Moines, and you didn't get that call, and yet I'm sure you looked at the forecast and thought, no, that's all right.
Look, Dax McCarty, MLS 360 analyst and a former player that's just retired. Man, that was in my wedding. I remember calling him after the match and asking how it went, and he was like, do you want to know the truth or what I had to say when the cameras were on?
He's since broken rank. I think he called it a great experience and a miserable game.
Yeah, that's about right. He was like, dude, it was awful. Yet they won, and so they run it back again tonight here in just a little bit, dude. Des Moines Menace, and long may that run continue, just so we can get all the memorable moments from Sasha Kleshin and Bradley Wright Phillips, Ozzie Alonso, Ewan Holden, Mikey Ambrose. I'm trying to think of other former players that are still on that team. But, man, that is off the top of that, there's 5-6 guys. That would have been a 2012 All-Star team. I think you said that last broadcast,
yeah, that's right? That's right. Former Hartford players scored elsewhere in the Open Cup tonight. Westchester SC's on Carlos Obregon in the 3rd minute over New York Pan-Cyprian Freedoms. Very early days there. All games in this round are available on the U.S. Soccer YouTube page, which means you can be like us and read the comments of our own game, or you can watch 4 different games at once and not get caught up in the conversant chat room. Whistle goes. That is Asad Liati drawing a free kick. And Hairston may have gotten the worst of it, too.
Watch this second interaction that happened. So after Liati muscles off Hairston, it's that follow through, and that is a heavy challenge in the middle of the park. It was late, and I'll tell you what, now the discussion's being had. There is the yellow card that's being brandished right now.
Beverly mocking Gila into the book and sliding down and snatched by Siaha. Winner of this game doesn't know where they're going yet. The draw is tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time on the CBS Sports Golazo Network. It's going to be Jamie fishing balls out of a fishbowl, is that right? Like the good old days. Ball knotted across and held by Hunter Morris.
Yeah, the rumors are true. We'll be joined by Joe Malfa, 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, as you alluded to, and we will, I'm sure we will make your favorite team go on the road for the next round, inevitably. I will find a way to make everybody hate me by the end of the evening.
Yep, Jamie hates all of your clubs.
I will send all of them as far away as possible. Big shout out to not having to do paper envelopes.
Oh, we're past that now?
We're doing the balls with slips of paper inside, and my fingers thank Commissioner David Applegate, the U.S. Open Cup, to be able to switch the format to drawing the balls out of the buckets instead of the envelopes that were a half-inch too small to pull out the slips from last year. I don't know, fun fact about that. That's why it looked so hard. And the bright lights got to me, I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's tomorrow, 1 Eastern on the Golazo Network, the third round draw, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Every team that goes through will advance, see one of the championship entrants.
The fourth official has indicated there are 3 minutes of added time. 3 minutes.
Well, I guess we're a little ahead of the game. It's pretty early to find out about stoppage time, but
appreciate the advance notice. This game just feels that it's waiting for a moment of somebody to create some brilliance or for a player to capitalize off of a mistake. And I think right now, as you get in these matches, you can just tell it's really tense right now. It seems as though every player on high alert, limiting the 50-50 balls that they play in, opting to go with a little bit longer of a ball. And I think right now, with this match being where it is, up against halftime, not wanting to concede anything or a big chance to wait to the other team, I'm okay with both teams being a bit more direct right now. Get to halftime and just try to reassess where things can go forward, but it's really looked like a track meet back and forth, and I think Hearts of Pine are more than okay with that.
Jones-Riley. Varela tried to go around the outside. Third ever game for Hearts of Pine. Their Open Cup Round 1 victory over Filelands, the Bay State Soccer League champion. And then their League One debut away to Naples. Described by some as a street fight played on turf that was last utilized in the 1980s.
Very descriptive.
Yeah.
I think we all got a picture in our mind.
Yep. Well, is there a chance here before halftime? Galena. Little skim to the backside. Popped into the air, and the header lifted above the bar. And Marlon Hairston, the best chance by far the first half for Hartford.
This match has been like a tennis rally going back and forth, and this time just as a bouncing ball that's cleverly hung up there, and it was a combination of Morse back there as well as a defender clearing it off the line. That's a big moment, and this essentially one of the last kicks of the first half could be pivotal and game-changing.
Header again soars above the woodwork, and that should take us to the intermission. And it does.
Big opportunity. That could have changed the entirety of the team talk between the two managers, yet instead, 0-0 at the half.
And
probably a fair reflection
half,
of the first 45 minutes that has lacked in real rhythm. But having said that, the conditions, the field sort of lend itself to a match that's going to be difficult to play aesthetically pleasing soccer. So with that, it's had to be about being effective. And I think right now, Portland have their noses in front when it comes to the eye test with opportunities, but Hartford nonetheless showing that at a moment's notice they can break open Hearts of Pine defensively and create an opportunity.
Well, the good news is I can guarantee there will be goals at halftime because they're wheeling out the tiny goals. It is Portland 0, Hartford 0 at halftime in this round 2 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup fixture.
Hearts of Pine is proud to have Mimic as our official safety partner. For more than 30 years, Mimic has led the way in workers' comp, protecting Maine's MVPs on and off the field.
There have been dozens of goals on this field tonight. Regrettably, they all came in our halftime game. It is scoreless in this round 2 fixture. League One Portland Hearts of Pine and championship side Hartford Athletic. Jamie Watson, Mike Watts, let's get you caught up on Open Cup glory of yesterday. Miami FC survives Inter Miami 2-1-0. The Crew knockout League One expansion side, or rather championship expansion side, former League One team, Lexington SC. El Farolito, these are not just guys that make burritos, okay? These are like former El Salvador internationals. Let's all calm down.
Death taxes El Farolito advancing in the U.S. Open Cup, and a magical run continuing on. And then the nightcap, you had to stay up. It was a late show. AV Alta FC in their inaugural season, knocking off LAFC in the 120th minute. Are you not entertained on night one? It was an incredible start to the second round yesterday.
Great start at the hangar for AV Alta. Meanwhile, here are the games ongoing right now. Chattanooga is all level at 1. Loudoun leads Virginia Dream 1-0 at the intermission. And Westchester has doubled their lead, while one Knoxville in a matchup of all League One sides is ahead of Greenville Triumph.
Ian Fuller is making one Knoxville SC look really good early on at the start of their campaign, and that matchup in Chattanooga, my goodness, is Chattanooga red? Is it blue? We will wait to see how it turns out, but that one is the most mouth-watering matchup on that board right there.
Right now, Chattanooga is firmly fuchsia, right in the middle. Meanwhile, Jamie, here's what's coming up later tonight. It's Des Moines, right? Everyone's watching Des Moines.
That's the one. It's got the All-Stars, it's got the cachet, but Union Omaha were the ones that have made noise themselves in this tournament, have had some deep runs, and ultimately are the team that are hoping to end all of the excitement and all the buzz with the former MLS players for Des Moines Menace. So that one kicks off just a little bit, about an hour from now, so we'll be tuned into that one. And then the Late Show, Ventura County FC and El Paso Locomotive.
Yep, that one's for the sickos. You can join us at 10:30 Eastern time for that one from Southern California. Meanwhile, Jamie, we'd be remiss not to make mention of a connection that you have specifically to this game and the Portland Hearts of Pine manager, Bobby Murphy. Mentioned earlier he came from Dallas. You guys were together back in the day, and it was like old friends on the phone when we spoke with him earlier in the week.
Yeah, there's about 2008, 2009, Austin Aztecs, which ultimately ended up becoming Orlando City. Adrian Heath on the far right, the manager of Orlando City. Bobby Murphy took over in an interim basis for Adrian Heath. I've got a lot of time for Bobby Murphy. He's one of the really good guys in this game, and this is a man that gives a lot of opportunities to young players. At that time in my career, I was a player that needed some guidance on the field and also off the field, and Bobby lended that hand, and I think that he is the perfect steward for this club that's going to take this club that's 5 years in the making, that's now a reality, and I can't wait to see what the next 5 years look like under Bobby Murphy's guidance, because I can tell you firsthand he impacted every single person in that group, from the ownership in the front, Kay Rollins, beloved still in Orlando City in the front, and that group right there is all better for having played for Bobby Murphy, and so is this Portland Hearts of Pine team.
And ego deflation can save your life is a line that I'm going to hold on to. That was among the many things he used to describe those early days alongside you and helping shepherd you along into a long and fruitful career. All the while, what has happened here tonight?
Heading into half, 0-0.
Unfortunately, Jamie, there was no climax in the first half, so it is scoreless as we head toward the second 45. Now, it's worth noting that Portland coach Bobby Murphy said that it may have been the second most exciting event to ever occur in Lewiston from a sporting perspective a couple weeks ago with the Open Cup, because this photo, which has been plastered on countless dorm room walls, occurred in May of 1965. Liston against Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, the champion retaining his heavyweight title belt in Lewiston, Maine, of all places. And one of the great sporting photos of all time, one of the great fights of all time, was right down the road from this venue.
All credit to producer Emma Watson to be able to go and find those images, the tickets, everything from it. Just an incredible sporting moment that we still talk about, the infamous Phantom Punch, and well, the botch count by the referee and everything. There were suspicions of match fixing. Did it happen? Did it not? You know, who knows, right? But we're still talking about it. What a moment in sports lore. And it happened right here in Lewiston, Maine. Incredible.
It did. Would you say that our producer provided a little bit of magic in creating that?
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
She made that halftime appear into something magical.
Yep. Expecto Patronum, am I right? All right. So if you're Hartford, that was not good enough. In no way was that good enough. I know you're on the road. I know you're in a rough moment of form. I imagine if there was paint on the walls, it has been shaved right off by the Brendan Burke halftime speech.
Absolutely. And then you've got to come out and face this from the Hearts of Pine faithful. What needs to be fixed for Hartford? They need to be able to get on the ball and get more presence in the midfield, connecting passes. Too big of gaps for Hartford Athletic right now. Way more than what they should be having for a team that supposedly, quote-unquote, on paper plays in a higher league and should be the team that is playing on the front foot, yet we've yet to see it.
Well, magic of the Open Cup. There was a change at halftime. Kamali Green picked up a knock in the first half, was able to finish it out, but they have brought in a 28-year-old Brazilian center back in a like change. Malamaki Camacho comes in off the bench. Was a substitute for Portland in the game against Naples, notably without Colby Quinones returning from Puerto Rico international duty. No Mikey Lopez either. Ball across, header is just narrowly above the crossbar. Not a bad look out of the break.
It's another big opportunity, and set pieces were always going to be an emphasis at this level. That has to be on target. That is just a mistimed header, and the leap was fine. There was enough trajectory to be able to get over it to head it down. That is a big miss for Hartford, and they're just continually missing these opportunities from set pieces and from these header opportunities that they should be finishing.
And will they look back in about 45 minutes time and regret either having to play an extra 30 minutes, which for these pro teams, when you're in the middle of your season, you know, Portland is about to go cross-country to Spokane. That is no easy trek. Hartford is going to have to bus home and then look forward to getting back to the league on the weekend. An extra 30 minutes for rosters that aren't the biggest can be really painful punishment for not taking your chances, although not nearly as painful as falling out of the competition altogether. Any cup sets for you? I imagine you'd be on the winning side. I would never assume the opposite.
Yeah, I think we had a few along the way. There was a good run with Orlando City where we made it all the way to the quarterfinals one year.
That was in the USL at the time,
correct.
Before MLS.
That is correct, yep. And we made it all the way. I think we knocked off the Colorado Rapids along the way, Kansas City, Sporting Kansas City, in Sporting Kansas City as well, and then ultimately lost out to Chicago Fire. But, I mean, look, it's an opportunity. There's a lot of players that are playing for Portland Hearts of Pine right now that have ambitions for higher levels. Well, this is the moment. You said it brilliantly earlier. We talked about Titus Washington, a player that Bobby Murphy said is a championship player all day. Okay, well, this is your moment to prove it then, because you're going against championship defenders. And so every player knows that. You've got to play within the team and what the collective wants to do, but individually be willing to take the moment and showcase yourself that you can play at a higher level if you're one of the players in the League One side.
Washington, the player holding up in the center of the penalty area. No chance to get service in. You know, I thought it was Michel Poon-Angaran that he described, first ever signing for the club, that really epitomizes the kind of desperation they're looking for. He's a young father, he comes to the U.S., and he's got the quality to be here, but also that natural desperation with the expectation they have to make it. This ball laced into a Hartford player, comes careening back out. Malamaki Camacho chasing this down to the touchline, and it'll belong to Portland.
You asked me about my Open Cup and cup sets. Do you, in all the years that you've been doing this tournament, do you have a fond memory of a cup set that you've called?
El Farolito last year, in the beginning of that whole saga, is up there.
Yeah.
I would say Louisville beating New England in, I want to say, the round of 32.
That's right.
About 6 years ago was one that still sort of.
It's hard to remember.
Still hits.
You must have called 1,000 of these Open Cup matches over the course of your illustrious career. So if those two stick out, they must be memorable ones.
Ball through for Dieng and overtaken. This is number 62 for me.
Well, maybe they just seem like 1,000.
It does.
When you listen to you long enough.
Yeah, Liati this away from right.
Maybe that's just because every time I call my dad, he tells me Mike Watts is my favorite commentator.
And I send the check and it always clears. Messer pursuing. Player who was with Rhode Island last year, only played in 3 games, got 18 league minutes. And the league runner-up. Topped that just by going the 90 on opening day for Portland. Washington wings this out of play.
Ooh, how good of a touch was this with the little outside of the right foot, little pinky toe as he's going to take this. Watch this touch from Washington. He's going to angle his foot in, so as this comes, he's able to turn and step with the ball. And that bites on the turf. Maybe not as much as he had hoped. That's why he's unable to get around it. He lashes across the face of the ball. But that is a next level thought process from Washington in that moment to understand not only am I receiving this, I'm taking into account where the defender's momentum is taking him and how I can go around him simultaneously in one step to create space. Those are the moments that coaches at higher levels are wanting to see, and that shows a really high soccer IQ from Titus Washington.
Washington out of Cal State Sacramento, where he was Big West honorable mention, and then had 16 goal contributions in 1,100 minutes. Seattle University last year. That earns the 24-year-old a pro deal, 14 in white tonight. Off the turn, the aforementioned Titus Washington driving by. Washington stepping through, sends the service and cleared off the spot. Retained and carried by Edwards, and Hartford pop out the other way.
It's too deep from the back four for Hartford. Look how big these gaps are and these lines are. The Hartford back line is so worried about the ball getting played in behind that there is so much space to operate in between.
Injured player down is Edwards. Play on. Messer touching in right. The ref does stop it. You want to allow that attacking phase to continue insofar as it's not going to risk the player getting trampled. Once the ball comes back in the path of Michel Poon-Angaran, rightfully the whistle.
Yeah, I think in that moment the referee, Kyle Everill, was going to call it there, and then as it starts to come in the attack, there was still that moment where it wasn't dangerous just yet, and it's under the discretion of the referee. I think in hindsight, I think there's more explaining going on from a referee, letting the player know that maybe he should have called it. It was that in-between moment from a referee that I'm sure, just like the players go back and evaluate their performances, a referee will go back and evaluate that moment and see, would I have done something differently in that moment? And I think we have the benefit of hindsight to say there probably was a moment or two in there where the play could have been stopped for a head injury.
Edwards came through Houston, where he was first spotted by Tab Ramos, the former coach for Hartford Athletic, called him a special talent there. He's featured prominently for St. Vincent and the Grenadines in CONCACAF.
There's another competition you've done a lot for, CONCACAF as well. And in the comments, the fans were saying they missed you on Cincinnati games in CONCACAF as well. Every competition you've got your hand in. You're a busy man.
I reclaimed some midweeks. Good to see Edwards back up. I do wonder, the longer this goes, Hartford switch shape to the 3-4-3. Oftentimes, the way they get their wingbacks forward, you almost eliminate the midfield by proxy because you've got your 3 front-running players. Occasionally, we'd see Galena go inside, or we'd see Edwards drop in. But it really left a gap there. I'm wondering how much longer, if Edwards comes out. They don't really have a like-for-like change for him where they go. Maybe you go Beckford and bring on another winger and keep at it.
I think you've absolutely nailed it perfectly there with that. But I think Samadia is also way too deep right now. He's not necessarily as much of wingback as Brendan Burke would hope. That's why at times it's looked like a back four, because he's been pinned back so far. And that's a good sign, an indication for Portland Hearts of Pine that that's them in control of the match when you're pinning back the wingbacks for your opponent. Clever little flick and a heavy touch. Bailed out by that. That is a one in which there is contact. There's enough for the foul there, but also that touch. He was never going to get there, was Anderson, but enough for a foul.
Pinballs around off Washington. Awkward skip off the turf. Edwards back in the game, lobs it ahead. Gliding past Varela, getting toward the end line. This coming back.
Hint of offside maybe in that moment?
I guess.
I was waiting to see if the referee's arm was going to go up, but nonetheless.
Never saw it either. His arm might be frozen to his side, to be fair.
You're not wrong. Was it 37 at kickoff, you said?
Yeah, it's dropped into the low 30s now in Maine. If ever there was a reason to keep the American soccer calendar, it would be games in Maine and Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Leading ball from Varela wide, launched over. Edwards intervenes, came high to Dieng. And he wanted that defeat, I think, based off that reaction.
He wanted anything but what happened based off of their reaction.
You know, that's something Portland said too. The longer this goes at 0-0, Hartford gets a little antsy. Maybe you act a little bit out of character. Although for Hartford, you could argue being overly aggressive is somewhat within their character. And you make that one mistake. That's how Portland can be the team that runs away with this at the end. And you're seeing that starting to bubble for Hartford here.
Well, and there's just too many gaps. The lines are too big right now. And this is really good patience being shown from Hearts right now to be able to stretch the field and methodically make their way up. I mean, Murphy, whatever he said at halftime, it's working.
Reaching the end line, had already run out of real estate. A little burst of speed here.
Just good patience. Lovely little ball around the corner first time. Play it and moving, continue on. I was inches away from being in a position to be able to cross from a dangerous spot, pick out your two options, Liotti and Washington. I can tell you one thing as we have a wonderful discussion at halftime about Hearts of Pine head coach Bobby Murphy. I've been in the locker room a lot of times, and even as an assistant to Adrian Heath when I was playing under Bobby Murphy. There'd be times that Adrian Heath would let Bobby have the team talk because Bobby Murphy has a way of reading a room and understanding what players not necessarily want to hear, but need to hear. And I think there's a big difference in that. And so I think one thing you could always count on was a calmness and a realness from Bobby Murphy's team talks. And, you know, as we said, about 15 minutes into the second half, you kind of see that Hearts of Pine seem like the more calm of the two teams, the team that seems maybe a bit more sure about the occasion. Maybe that's partly in due because of where Hartford is in their season, 0-3, starting to really push to get that key victory that can kind of kickstart this season for them. Right now, Hearts and Pine got to feel good about where they are an hour into this match.
You see the scoreboard calls them Devils. That's the local Lewiston High School nickname. This is not their typical home venue, but these are certainly going to be their home supporters. They're lined up along the fences. You know just how much it means, these newly minted Portland fans. There were enough guys from the Pacific Northwest in this Hearts of Pine roster that I genuinely started to wonder if the coaching staff was recruiting players from that region, or players would reach out and say, hey, I want to play for Portland, and maybe had the wrong one. I have been thinking about that. 2 guys from Timbers 2, another from Seattle U. Good ball through for Galena. Galena muscles free. Service can't circumnavigate the first defender. Stabbing the turf before Hairston. The run out is on for Hearts of Pine. Dragging through. Here's Ollie Wright.
That is a tremendous tackle to stop that counterattack. And here we go after the tackle to be able to now turn the defense into offense.
And this drops in the other way and gets lashed. No points are awarded. Goes through the field goal posts by Mishi Galena.
This was incredible. Look at the strength from Liotti. Just rides the challenge, sidesteps the late challenge, and then Liotti now squares up Ollie Wright. In these 1v1 moments, that has to be an inch-perfect tackle, and it was. It really was. Now it breaks out the other way off of Joseph Farrell's ability to get back up, the endeavor to continue to push forward, and then the quality to be able to put that ball in behind to Galena.
It's starting to heat up here. It is scoreless. Elsewhere, Loudon has regained the lead against amateur side Virginia Dream. Ben Mines at the hour mark. 2-1 there. Knoxville leads one of the great League One sides, Greenville Triumph, 2-0 at the intermission. The Chattanooga Derby is on level terms. It is a packed house in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Naples ahead of Little Rock Rangers, who had upset on the mind. Regrettably, the New York Pan-Cyprian Freedoms have been locked away by Westchester SC, which is an entirely different club than West Chester United, who were eliminated in the last round. Messer, good move. Karam's back, Poon Angaron went for goal, and that's simple work for Siaha.
Siaha is livid right now with the space that's being given to the opponents, and Messer just throwing a little bit of a trick and a treat, and that was really good skill to go by Dees Pay, and well, that is a speculative effort. That's going to take more to beat Siaha from that angle, but here is a spot of bother.
Picked back up by Portland, touched across, aim for frame, oh wow, right denied, follow up Siaha, back into the mixer, and Dees Pay clears it away. This game has been begging for that moment for 63 minutes. And now with Hart still palpitating, Hartford the other way. Three options percolating, angling inside, deflects across, spinning and looking for a shot and carrying wide. Anderson, corner. Woo! Wake up, Maine.
Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous from Siaha. This should be 1-0, right? No, no, no. This should be 1-0. No, no, no. Another touch off the post. Siaha is playing out of his absolute mind. And then we go the other way. And this is important, the timing to be able to get in this intervention on Anderson. Siaha is single-handedly keeping Hartford in the second round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
It was Siaha against the world so often at Monterey Bay. All the while, corner on the other end. Morse got enough and cleared high to Sebastian Anderson. Looking for another bite of the apple down into the corner. Kept in, lofted by Samadia, and away from Dieng.
Siaha is pulling out a vintage Tim Howard versus Belgium in the World Cup performance right now.
Did you just thief that?
Absolutely. From our lovely comment section. Xavier Edwards making me look a lot smarter in the comment section than I am.
Top two Edwards involved in this game. Long throw here for Hartford. And a foul. And Portland to survive. Substitution coming. Xavier Edwards just became the #1 Edwards involved in this game. So Edwards picked up a knock about 10 minutes ago. And Deshane Beckford, who's capped with Jamaica, comes in off the bench at 65 minutes. First sub for Hartford, one utilized for Portland at halftime. It was the under-23 Pan American Games that brought Deshane Beckford the spotlight he needed to get him to the U.S. initially at RGV, then San Antonio, and then multi-year stint with Brendan Burke in Colorado Springs. Followed as manager after Brendan had a stop with the Open Cup winning Houston Dynamo as an assistant to Benny Olsen, eventually arriving here in Hartford, and one of the first pickups for Burke in this new project a year ago. And immediately to the fore.
Look at how much space there is for these secondary balls.
Plenty of contact.
That's got to be a booking then.
It is. Look at the reaction from Azad Liadi, I believe, to the crowd.
Once this attack gets stopped, if you're going to call that foul, that's got to be a booking then. The 1-2 was on the counterattack. The attacking phase of play was building, and that is a tackle that had to be made in that moment to be able to stop a promising attack.
That's Scarlett, the outside center back in the 3 who'd ranged over and knew better to take the card than to concede the chance. Here's Ollie Wright. Careful. Down in Boston, I mean, they'd be talking about, well, another time. Never mind.
Good business decision to keep your job.
No, sit this one out. I didn't realize there are so many under-23 Pan American game fans in the comments section.
The Venn diagram crossover is huge.
Absolutely it is. Are you kidding me? Good little work here by Hartford to get into the final third. The final effort is a doink off of the field goal post.
Love the footwork in this breakout in the moment. Galena just waits for the moment to catch Vinberg flat-footed, and at that point in time, then Vinberg becomes a spectator like you and I to see if that was going to stay on effort, on target, and Galena's got to be able to get over that and keep that to a spot where he can challenge Morse.
I give Vinberg a lot of credit. He's been up for it. You get the feeling that that was an area Hartford felt they could get at a little bit, and that has not been the case tonight.
Vinberg really has stepped up to the occasion and has been able to put himself in the right position time and time again.
Anderson denied by Ollie Wright. Englishman still on his backside as the ball angles the other way. Here's Beckford of under 23 Pan Am fame. Beckford just inside. That clearance left a lot to be desired. Anderson steps in. That's more convincing. Ruh-roh.
Hartford Pine is proud to have Mimic as our official safety partner for more than 30 years. Mimic has led the way in workers' comp, protecting Maine's MVPs.
Not much in it. I think Ollie Wright was looking for something that wasn't really there.
Ollie Wright came up through Fulham, Brentford, and QPR's academies before landing at St. Mary's as a Division II All-American down in Texas. Spent the first few years of his career as a professional in the second division in Texas before moving on to Huntsville. Drops down, holds centrally, and out for a corner. Set pieces were a big point of contention for both sides. The fact Hartford conceded 2 goals against El Paso last week. An acknowledgement from Brendan Burke that you cannot be outgained on second balls and set pieces by less athletic teams or smaller teams. But also, Portland knowing that's how you win cup ties. Ball knocked across and held by Hunter Morse. No one's been able to crack the Morse code yet.
That's what it'll sound like when it hits the back of the net. Just take my word for it.
Is that what it sounds like when a pin drops? Because that's about the only thing that would take the air out of the building right now.
I thought you were going to say that's what it sounded like when I told that joke.
Right. Washington.
It's been an absolute task for Farrell and Deespae to go up against Washington. And Washington is the kind of player that you would hate to play against and love to have on your team. Just his willingness to fight and compete.
Galena. He can beat an entire team by his lonesome. Circulates wide. Beckford among the central targets. Hartford starting to put their thumb on the scale now.
You start to get the sense that they really are settling into this match and asserting some dominance. So for the first time in quite some time, Hearts of Pine are up against the ropes. How can they withstand a punch or two right now that Hartford are throwing at them? And one thing you can do, if you're not able to get clean touches, you can always work. Your opponent can't stop you from running, so you got to continue to press.
Ball through. Good leading touch. Could this be the moment for Hartford? It's not. It's Galena. And it's wayward once again. They're getting closer, certainly, Hartford Athletic.
Galina is the usual suspect to be involved and be a real threat, as he has been throughout the course of his career. Galina shouldn't be winning that ball, but he's just so smart in his ability to know when to stick his foot in to win the challenge and be able to not concede a foul in the moment. That is a underrated skill of his, to be able to generate opportunities that really should be won by the Hartford defender, but instead Galina gets in that moment where you just have to hold your breath and wonder, is this going to be the breakthrough?
Everybody back to their feet for inquiring minds who wish to know. The draw is tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, for the third round matches in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. You can watch it live on the CBS Sports Golazo Network. CBS Sports will be the home for the Open Cup beginning in the third round. I say hate watch because you're not going to like who you're drawn against nor where you're going. It's just the nature of the game. Yellow card given, that's Washington.
Remember when we talked about how difficult of a night it's been for the defenders against Titus Washington? Well, it just got a little bit worse. That is absolutely every bit worthy of a yellow card. Washington knows what he's doing. He's throwing the arm back there to try to create that contact with Farrell and catches him right in the side of the face. That is the easiest yellow card that we've seen tonight.
Approaching the final quarter hour now, and a goal at this stage would rip your heart and or hearts out. Double change for Portland. Evan Southern, 23-year-old Connecticut native, coming into the game. And while he was not listed on the social media graphic, Mikey Lopez is going to come in off the bench. And here's the interesting part, Jamie. You raised it. This was the first guy that Bobby Murphy went out to get. He's known him all the way back to his youth days in Texas. He's coming off knee surgery in the offseason. He was able to give about 15 minutes against Naples. If you go to extra time now, Mikey Lopez is either going to have to come out later, and you get a 6th sub in extra time if we get that far, or he may have to go 45 minutes, which is about 15 minutes more than they anticipated.
Mikey Lopez is a player that was instantly sought after by Bobby Murphy, going back to Lone Star Soccer Club, where Bobby helped nurture Mikey Lopez as a young player before he had his time in Kansas City with Sporting KC. And so when this club starts to help establish the culture, you go and get people like Mikey Lopez, now back from the knee surgery, cleared to play just this past Thursday before their matchup against Naples that you alluded to. So getting him on the field is important in these key moments for that leadership, but also that big test right now. How much physically is Mikey Lopez able to handle in the middle of the park, where it's going to be so vital picking up these secondary balls? But what a good story and full circle moment to have Bobby Murphy and Mikey Lopez together again. Somebody who fostered the love of the game for Mikey Lopez. Now Bobby Murphy gets to insert him in arguably the biggest game that this club has seen yet in the second round of the Open Cup.
A yellow card was called on Portland's number 14, Titus Washington.
Titus Washington just cocked his head on the bench and said, that yellow was like 5 minutes ago. He's not even in the game anymore. That's a foul.
Stuff starting to happen off the ball on these restarts, and that is Mikey Lopez getting an introduction into this match. Felt a little bit of a contact. Watch Mikey Lopez at the top of the 18. We like to call that experience, to understand when you feel a little bit of contact from D's Pay in that moment to go down and sell it.
Jamie, are you describing the art of the dive? You, really? I never would have guessed.
2 decades in the making from...
You have a very floppable face.
Been told worse about it, so thank you.
Right. You still look 10 years younger than me. Lopez will put this down. Spent the last 5 years in Birmingham. Prior to that was at San Antonio and NYCFC. Began his career at Sporting Kansas City. Lopez smashes it down. Punangaran sends back. Here's Langlois, who won the League Cup in Northern Colorado last year. A shot at glory, it was described, the Jägermeister Cup.
Oh, I get it.
We're going back to the Flask comment. All the way down into the corner for Messer.
Should be Hartford's ball. It's not, but it should be.
Lopez. Toppled. Play continues. Dieng, a one-man pressing crew. Elsewhere, a lot of multi-goal leads starting to open up. Naples now 2 goals ahead of Little Rock late in the first half, early second half. Westchester from League One up on the vaunted Pan-Cyprian Freedoms. Tulsa 2 goals ahead of forward Madison, who have noticeably not gone full Mingo tonight. Loudon is up 3-1, 2 unanswered since Virginia Dream initially equalized. Knoxville is up by 2 on Greenville. And Chattanooga remains 1 goal apiece. Levied long and into the midst of Siaha as we go into the final 10 minutes here. For those unfamiliar, we would indeed, there are no replays, there's no golden goal. We would go 30+ penalties if needed, should we finish level at full time in the Open Cup. Is either side able to benefit more from saying 10 minutes, go get it, or let it be done to you, but don't let it go another 30?
I think after the punches that Hartford were throwing over the course of, I'll say 70 to 78 minutes or so, Hearts of Pine understood that they were a bit vulnerable. I think you're seeing a team that's reflective of understanding, okay, we got to make sure that we don't commit any mistakes right now. So there's been less risk, and with that, that's been less entry passes into the middle of the third. It's been more of this back and forth, and I think right now both teams are starting to feel a bit more cautious and maybe starting to feel a bit of the pressure of the moment. So the big test is going to be which team can get on the ball and start to connect and move and get players in advanced positions collectively like this. This is where you're going to start to see more success than maybe just the long ball hit and hope, where both teams are starting to sit in and absorb that long press to keep everything in front.
This should be onside. Malamaki Camacho kept him on. Although this across the face of Galena. We'll see Anderson swoop in.
See time and time again, these throw-ins from Anderson have been like a corner kick. It's a set piece. The near post, Dispay has been challenging for the first initial one. Second ball becomes so important, and so far Hartford have been the better team in these situations tonight.
Ricochets around and drops back. Samadia was the deep man. And Hartford will play. Be big when your record is small, Brendan Burke said at the end of last season. They were in it till the last day after a brutal summer spell. Just 2 losses in their last 12, but 3 defeats in the league season to start. Galena crossing, and ball whisked away by the goalkeeper Morse. Follow-up lifted across the face. Anderson out of play. And Hartford continues to push late for the winner.
What a big time save. There's the mistake, the giveaway. Now everybody's reacting. This is good job of moving the feet from Hunter Morrison. To be able to see it through a pair of defenders makes it even more difficult. Anderson caught between two minds. Does he lace it? Does he open his hips up and try to go the inside the foot? The last second he changed his thought process and he's unable to keep it on target because of that. These are the moments now where everybody's starting to get a bit more panicked and a bit more tense. Mistakes get amplified. Or Hearts of Pine almost were made to pay for theirs.
The Bonanza has to be asking if that was the chance.
You just get the sense and the feeling that there is going to be another opportunity. There is going to be one more chance. This game is crying out for a hero. Who's going to be the one to put their name in lights and put their team into the third round?
Las Vegas is in the next round, Jamie. Wrong lights. Messer to throw.
Maybe a trip to Vegas is the motivation needed for that moment of brilliance, huh?
Isn't that true?
Vegas, baby. Oh.
I'm fine seeing any of 25 letters in the alphabet in Las Vegas. The other one should stay, you know, home.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. That is offside and a half if they had allowed that to play through, but had already gotten to the line. Wait a minute. Plenty of consternation here.
Yeah, it was an offside in the build-up there.
Well, and did that ball get over the line?
Go out as well, yeah.
I feel like I'm looking at the, I mean.
Can you tell me, was it the chicken or the egg? Go out, was it offside?
Staring at the Zapruder film here and like trying to isolate individual pixels. Deespe, All-League Championship center back. A hopeful ball. Oh, that's a championship winner. Joey Farrell pounds that into the stands. When all's said and done, he'll be considered one of the better defenders to have played in the championship in the last decade. Longevity of it. From Rochester to some of the great Phoenix Rising teams. Anderson, Deespe. Bobby Murphy said the team is a little tougher than I thought they would be initially. Said there's fortitude in this group. We'll get better in front of goal. We'll get better on the ground, he said, but you can't teach that. In that sense, we're seeing the best of Portland in its earliest days. 3 minutes and stoppage time remaining. That header opens the door to Galena. Yang was waiting. Excellent move, Punagaran. Lopez has got the freshest legs on the field. Swept back inside by Liati. Punagaran allows Ali right into the fray.
This is good from Hearts of Pine.
Back heel trying to allow Messer further right. Pulls in the pass from Anderson. 100 ticks before we get to stoppage time. And beyond that, extra time, 30 minutes, lies in wait if we can't find a goal. Messer. You can't simulate this, can you? These final minutes, you can say all you want in training, in preseason, up a goal, down a goal, stoppage time. This is do or die. This is it.
You know, this is where fitness becomes an issue. It's early on in both teams' season, so when you get tired, you're more apt to make mistakes. The thought process slows down just a half a second, and a half a second at this level is too late and too long. So now it's about minimizing those mistakes and playing the smart choice, the safe choice, the first choice more often than not. But you're right, both these managers can do everything, yell and scream until they're blue in the face, but ultimately it's down to the players that are on the field right now to make the right decisions in critical moments and execute when they get the opportunity.
Galena wants to end this now. Full speed and press. That's a push into the back of Lopez. We will have 3 added minutes.
Fourth officials downstairs, 3 minutes of added time.
Oh, you ruined the surprise. Still a lively atmosphere at minute 90 as it was at minute 1. But these fans are just waiting for that moment to explode. Team had an iconic moment when the first goal goes in. Varela scores the first goal for the Portland Hearts of Pine, but now can they get a late winner to go with it? An added drama to advance on. Or can Hartford remain professional on the road and do what they need to be able to do to get through?
Well, it won't be that. One out of midfield by Liotti. The Hartford bench literally up in arms about it. Galena powers down the line. Gua couldn't took it away. Ball aimed at the back post. That'll skip away from Deshane Beckford.
Pat Langlois is not going to want to watch film after this moment to understand the bad angle and then the missed challenge. It goes to a moment where it's everybody's shifting and trying to play catch up. Ultimately, the deflection sends it wide, and now part of the game where Hartford has been the most dangerous all evening long into the final minute of stoppage time. Can Hartford seize the moment?
A lot of IFAB law of the game sharing from the referee who shares the same hairstyle as me. Does not want to have to blow his whistle at this juncture and decide the game. Sebastian Anderson may well have the game on his foot. Anderson crossing, drops down, Morse dives on the grenade. Farrell was nearby, but Morse quells the Hartford threat.
This could have gone anywhere, and that was Liotti, I believe, that was brave enough to win the first header, but Morse tracks it ever so well. That is exactly what you need from your goalkeeper in that moment.
Well, partner, hope you didn't have dinner plans. We're going to be here a while. Skips through, right, unable to lasso, knocked down by Lopez. Smashed ahead for Galena. Dieng pursues. Lofted over Lopez and flicked ahead for Hearts. D's pay. Back to Siaha. Referee rather lenient with 3 minutes. Lopez. That is full time, and we are going to extra time. So, Jamie, we'll go another 30 tonight, 0-0.
Free soccer.
It was always free.
Yeah, nothing to separate the two teams. No mistakes that were made. Both teams did enough defensively. A few heart and mouth moments. But having said that, no team has really cemented themselves as a team that could be and should be in front. So this seems about a fair reflection right now at the end of 90 minutes. Yep, the nature of the beast. We can't end here. We keep going, my friend.
I see what you did. Heart and mouth moments. All right, let's go all the way back to the 9th minute when the sun was still shining. It was about a 90-yard counter off the set piece.
We thought this was maybe going to be the best save of the night from Siaha because it was that good to go back against the grain, push it off the post. But if you thought that was good, I invite you to stick around because there's a few more later that will leave your jaw on the floor. And there was also a moment for Hartford where they thought they had gotten a breakthrough. This ball is going to hang up for Harrison right before halftime. And it's tipped over. So at half, 0-0. Straight out of the gate, this should be 1-0, and it's not. Hartford just don't take their opportunity. We go to the hour mark, and game starts to open up a bit after Dispay wins the initial challenge. Then he plays provider. Galena just catches it on the upward trajectory. But it was starting to be this glimpse of there were going to be opportunities. And that save a moment ago that we said was the best of the bunch, it was until this one, and then until this one. Are you serious, Anthony Siaha, with a double save that is worthy of keeping his team with a clean sheet and in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup? And then Michi Galena doing what he does best, creating opportunities for himself. Just unable to get this one on target. Sort of ran out of ideas, it looked like, as the angle was taken away from him. And then right before the end of the match, it was a giveaway. There was some moments that was unbalanced, some shifting around. This one not caught cleanly, and Hunter Morse does ever so well to stay with it, track it through 2 defenders, and then push it wide. On the moment that would have sent Bobby Murphy into a complete tizzy, there was a lackluster challenge right in front of him to try and bring down the player. It doesn't happen. The subsequent corner looks a bit scarier in the end than maybe it was because Morse was tracking it the whole way and bravely sticks in there to make the save and send us to extra time.
This isn't the FA Cup with replays. This isn't CONCACAF going straight to pens. This is the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. Same rules since 1914, baby. We don't need your VAR. We don't need your newfangled concepts. We are now tied after 90 minutes. That means 2 15-minute periods will be played in full. 1 additional substitute and sub-window granted for extra time. No golden goal. And if tied after 120 minutes, penalties will decide the outcome.
That was a
That's closed captioning
that Austin Powers would have been very pleased with. Golden goal.
Ironically, we see the additional substitute. That's a great theory. Neither team really tapped their bench either. So if you look for Hartford, Obalola, big-time attacking threat, albeit a young one. You've got Jonathan Jimenez that can play out of midfield or play wide, Morera, and then Priest is the outside back and center back, depending on what's needed here for Hartford the rest of the way. They do not have a full bench, but they can make whatever subs they deem fit at this point. All the while, only 3 changes for Portland, and they've got a former League 2 Golden Boot winner who's bagged 30 goals in League 1 on their bench in Jake Keegan. So neither team is exactly out of options here.
The coaches have left some dry powder, some ammo to use, and it looks as though we're going to get one of those substitutions. Marlon Hairston's night will come to an end, and that was a good performance from Hairston in the middle of the park, and that'll be it for him. 90 minutes in the back pocket.
And it is TJ Priestess who comes in off the bench. A Columbus, Ohio native who spent 4 years at Yale and was all Ivy each season. His dad, Tom, twice an MLS Cup champion. His mom was captain for a Final Four College Cup team at SMU. That's only the second sub utilized by Hartford. Well, it's a school night, and a few people, I think, have probably taken leave. The diehards sticking it out late into the evening.
Coming in
here.
for Hartford, John Thomas Prentius. In for number 94, Marlon Hairston.
Yeah, all right, close enough. All right, let's go. 15 this way, 15 the other. If we don't have a winner, we'll shoot. I've done the PA thing, trust me. I don't envy that position. You're reading off the roster that you received from U.S. Soccer, which is your given legal name on your passport. I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Slight difference. I'm doing it at Madison Square Garden last night to Lewiston, but I digress.
It's basically the exact same thing.
Hallowed grounds, if you will.
I mean, the same level of player was featuring for the Sixers last night as we're seeing here, so neither here nor there.
Load management.
And, well, something like that. On to extra time we go here. Temperatures are right around freezing. It was 37 when we kicked off. The low tonight in Lewiston, Maine is 30 degrees. This is the second ever home game, quote unquote. This is not the long-term home. Ball flung into the path of Morse. Just as Dillon Stadium was renovated back in 2019, causing the Hartford Athletic expansion side to go on a 8-game, 8-loss, all-against playoff team road swing to start their first ever year in the league. That may have been 2018, beg your pardon. Here comes Portland. Hearts of Pine are going to not get a home game in their home venue until the first week of May. There'll be one Knoxville that comes here Sunday, May 4th. We'll get that first game at Fitzpatrick Stadium after they're done with the $2.5 million worth of renovations. Whoa there, things have gotten a little topsy-turvy. Farrell just got lifted by Azad Liati. And this referee does not get the benefit that we have here. The VAR, look right in the middle of your screen, number 9 in white. He and Farrell keep coming up against one another. As Chance the Rapper would say, this game now has the juice. I need to trust myself more. Been alerted by the Hartford front office. It was 2019. That was a long time ago.
I was going to say that is that is a well, there's been so much that's happened since then, right? So
name one thing that's happened. Never mind. All right. Hopefully we've got a standing ceasefire. Corner for Portland with some hot tempers. Aimed at the near post, contact galore. And with 6 bodies on the ground, the referee says this belongs to Siaha and Hartford.
So after Liati picks up a booking, keep an eye on him in the middle. There's also a lot going on where there's tackling, and this was a bit turnabout. Pay turned around and returned the favor, just was able to get away with it. And that ends up sorting itself out.
Yellow card for Portland, number 9, Azad Liati. And a yellow card for Hartford's goalie, number 77, Anthony Siaha.
Siaha shown yellow. And may I just note, this game goes to pens. They don't have the ability to go look with VAR. It's one of those you leave early and you can get tossed out of a shootout situations.
Yellow card could be a factor later. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it could be a problem, but that's a long way away.
That's us in roughly 26 minutes problem to worry about.
Yeah, but we'll get there and think that feels like 2019 ago. Comes out to right. Pay.
What is Liati doing on a yellow?
Yeah, that's not it.
He should be off.
Yeah, that's it. Azad Liati picks up a terrible second yellow card, and Liati is sent off. Absolutely lost his head. And now Siaha just shoved down Lopez. He's on a yellow. What is happening? Anthony, the referee still has the yellow and the red in his hand. Lopez is steering traffic all around him. The referees put cards back in his pocket for the time being.
Second yellow card.
Keep an eye on Liati.
Azad Liati.
Now Farrell's just trying to get in there to slow him down, and Liati on a yellow card from seconds ago.
What are
Lowers
you
your
doing?
shoulder. He's absolutely put his team into a terrible position going down a player in extra time. You cannot do that to your team.
And then Siaha survives all that. He threw Lopez away from it. The referee is going to give a yellow, I believe, to Bobby Murphy, who's defending his player, but I don't know he has much of a leg to stand on.
Murphy is one of the most mild-mannered on the sideline, so that's an interesting turn of events. But at 26 years old, Azad Liati, you have to know better. With this match being 11-on-11, Liati looked like the player that was going to be the one that caused the most problems for Hartford. Now he ends up being the player that might end up causing Portland Hearts of Pine the most problem.
So Hartford playing up a man. Liati sent off in the 97th minute. Anything in it for Siaha for you? That push of Lopez, is that enough that you'd see him get a second yellow?
No, I think that Lopez knows what he's trying to do in that moment. Lopez is smart. But Siaha put his fate in this match in the referee's hands.
Free kick. Then a little extra after the fact. They meet again on April 26th in the Jägermeister Cup, the USL League Cup. And this will not be forgotten. Well, everybody's walked away from this, and a free kick for Hartford. Probably the best position they've been to take a set piece all night.
Yeah, hard to think of another opportunity in any sort of an advantageous position. You're really flirting with every bit of 34 yards from here. This is would take something special. Left foot. Samadia has the capability. This is going to take something of the spectacular variety to beat Morse from here.
Samadia plays this over to Galena, sends it for goal. Morse at it red.
Good deception. Samadia really sold this. Got everybody to bite, even Ollie Wright, whose job was to be able to track Deespay and also Galena. Not easy to do.
Off the head of Galena. Sprinting ahead, Mishi Galena cuts it back across, bounces into Morse. That wasn't hit with much venom at all. And Beckford unable to find the magic moment.
It's another opportunity in which Hartford get into an advanced position. Beckford screaming to the top of the 6-yard box. He's there, and he absolutely just misses the opportunity. Mistimes the effort towards goal, and a wonderful opportunity goes begging.
Crowd applauding themselves for hanging in. There's not enough bone broth in the world to make me want to purposefully do this. Ball through across toward Dieng, cleared over the line, corner for Hartford.
That is such an important intervention by Vinberg in that moment. Dieng was just lurking right in the middle to get on the end of this service if it had gone through. Keep an eye on Vinberg. He's going to stay step for step. There's a big gap. I mean, that's not good enough from a defensive standpoint from Jones-Riley, but Vinberg does just enough to be able to get in between that cross.
And Michel Poonangaran is down. The top of the 18. 23-year-old Trinidadian player. Came in from AC Port of Spain. I saw it on his resume, and I did a double take. He spent 2 years at Banfield, which is a huge club in South America.
And that is a place that you get hardened by. You have to be tough to be able to last there. Last 2 training sessions, let alone 2 years at Banfield in Argentina.
If you want to make a change in midfield, Mickey Riley is an extraordinary runner. Gives you an option there to cover ground that Poonangaran is largely handled tonight. They're trying to work this out as much as they can, but because the trainer came on and there was no card, Portland is about to defend this set piece with 9. They're down a man because of the red card to Liati, and now Poonangaran is going to have to wait to get welcome back onto the field.
There are 2 players right now for Hartford at the top of the box. Any knockdown pieces. Now here we go. There's the numbers overload.
Sent Makangila into the box. He looked over to the sideline and got that push.
So he'll be unaccounted for.
Deespay and Farrell are monsters in the air. Lobbed across Deespay, glancing blow, and an unforced error, a foul.
It's just a push. That's how the space gets created for Deespay. Gotta have a bit more composure in those moments, knowing that you're gonna have 2 players number-wise advantage in that moment. Don't give away a silly foul there. You just cannot foul there.
Lopez picks his head up, Hartford was inching forward, ball for right. Wow, D's pay. D's clearances. Galena. Right. Closing in on the end of the first period of extra time. It'll go 15 minutes in each direction, no golden goal. Diving header away. Pulled in by Anderson. Chance perhaps to serve again. There's the ball across. Lopez, a tad pedestrian with it. Slides it past Samadia. Driven across.
Oh, the bounce.
Galena. Contemplative touch from Makangila. Back outside once again. Cut back. Anderson soars up, and Morris called everybody off.
The fourth official.
We'll go 2 more minutes at the end of the first period of extra time.
You could just expect more of the same here from Hunter Morris, just trying to take every second possible to be able to see the clock go tick, tick, tick.
Go back to the last game. We are talking now 196 minutes without a goal for Portland, and yet one would send them into absolute rapture. It's a goal kick with a minute remaining in first period of extra time, added time. And if you're in Hartford, if you order a clam pizza right now, it'll arrive just in time for either celebration or despair.
Is it clam pizza or clam a pizza?
Not neither for me, thank you. Into the corner with about 30 seconds remaining, right. Sometimes better to stick it in the stands. Can Hartford find that incisive moment in the last seconds? Ball across and knocked in, but it's offside. It will not count. And we are headed to the second period of extra time, 0-0.
Lewis.
Well.
Wow. Watch Galena at the bottom of your screen. And he's going to be the player that scores. He's the one as this played across. That is such a good step from Vinberg. It is so close, but you got to give the advantage point to our assistant referee who's looking at the line and seeing it clearly. And oh, this was the site of Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston, and you might say that Hearts of Pine were saved by the bell there.
Scoreless after 105. Here come the highlights thus far in extra time. Not the least of which, this tees up the rest of the game. Liotti ripping at Farrell, so Liotti gets booked at 93 minutes. He would end up going at Farrell again, impressing right here, and get sent off in the 96th.
One of the most ill-advised, illogical decisions I've seen in quite some time. I had 15 yards to think about it, and it was not a second thought for a referee to show a second booking. It's absolutely a second yellow, and Liotti has really put his team up against it after being one of the best players on Hearts of Pine all evening long. And the game has completely changed since then now, because Hearts of Pine have had to sit in and endure wave after wave of attack, and It's normally been Galena that's been a constant threat. There was a set piece where Samadia really sells it to Galena. Tries to shape this to the far post with some runners across, but Morse tracks it, no deflection on the way through, and we just got to the point in time when you just felt, is this gonna be the one? Well, it was Beckford at the back post, who doesn't catch it cleanly. Hartford are just not putting Hearts of Pine away as they should do. They thought they had in this moment. There's the freeze frame. Great work from our crew to show you Galena at the bottom of your screen, who had just strayed fractionally into an offside position seconds before turning that in. And so we sit still tied 0-0.
So we're going to contemplate the psychological advantage that's gained by listening to the theme song from Shrek and step away for a moment. Portland and Hartford headed to the second period of extra time, scoreless.
We have a substitution for the Hearts of Pine. Number 17, Mickey Riley, in for number 8, Michelle Punangaran.
Well, you've chosen this life. You could be doing anything right now, but you've chosen this. 105 minutes of scoreless, hard-fought Open Cup soccer, and it'll be decided in the next 15. We'll decide it from the penalty spot. Portland, Maine against Hartford of Connecticut, matching up a League One and a championship side, the third and second division in the second round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. And on to the final 15 we go. Hearts of Pine, third ever game. They are unbeaten to this point. A 0-0 draw over the weekend in Naples. And a 4-0 win in their first ever game in the first round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Hartford has struggled at the outset, but they are the favorite, and with good reason. They've certainly shown it. Portland is reduced to man after Liotti was sent off in the 97th minute. Portland did make a change. Punangaran comes off. He was injured the final couple minutes of the first period of extra time. It is Mickey Riley who's come on for him. And as it was in the first period of extra time, another set piece for Hartford. Ball bounces toward the line. Did it get over? It's smashed in now. It's a goal for Hartford. Well, they've gestured toward half field. Now Hartford is livid. Now they've given the goal. Count it. And it is Jordan Scarlett taking credit. Hartford Athletic may have just broken all the Portland Hearts.
Set pieces all night have been so important for Hartford Athletic. Scarlett rises up the highest. There's a collision that really threw a spot of bother for Hunter Morse, but it was his own teammate that collided into him. Two players down along with Morse. The confusion comes from Mikey Lopez, threw his hand at it to try to save it on the line as a field player, but nonetheless, it was already over the line. It's the right decision, and it's been the most likely form
Number 4, Jordan
at Hartford
Scarlett.
Athletic we're gonna hurt Hearts of Pine with. Corner kicks and set pieces, and Jordan Scarlett rises the highest over everybody, including Hunter Morse, to break through for Hartford Athletic.
Well, if anything, now Portland, who had been defending the 0-0, have to really give their all now. Only way through is to find a goal. They're down a man from Liotti being sent off for 2 yellows in 2 minutes. Scarlett at 1:06, the go-ahead. Less song, more demand. By the fledgling support for Portland Hearts of Pine.
Good turn.
That's Priestess, the foul. Now Jones-Riley gets whacked.
Oh, these are the moments then for Hearts of Pine. You're down a player, you get a set piece opportunity, you got to just put it forward into the box and try to create some sort of chaos. Siaha is adventurous, he will come out, so this cannot go too close to the 6-yard box. This has to land right around the penalty spot.
Driven up by Messer. They're looking to get a ball back across the face of goal. A throw from the tight confines down in that end. The give and go. Ball line back Dieng, no problem. Chance for perhaps deeper service instead. Lopez. Swept to Jones-Riley.
What a ball.
That'll play. Lopez. Corner. There is still 10 minutes to go here. Lopez took that really quick. Too quick. Elsewhere, Des Moines and the AARP gang trail Union Omaha 1-0. Dion Akoff in the 18th minute. Loudon did, in fact, finish off Virginia's dream, 4-2. The Triumph appear poised to fall to Knoxville 2-1. It's very late there. Pancyprian Freedoms have gotten the last 2 goals against Westchester. That's 3-2 in added time. Naples, 2 goals ahead on Little Rock. Chattanooga appears poised to head to extra time at 1 goal apiece. And Tulsa destroys the Flamingos of Madison 3-0. Chance growing here. And leaping over top, Evan Southern above Siaha.
It's been a good response from Hearts of Pine after they've gone down and having to do it with just 10 players, so it's been a difficult task. There's gonna have to be some risk taken. There's gonna be times where Hartford Athletic are gonna be left in 1v1 situations going forward.
We're a couple inches away from needing the orange ball, but those are flakes of snow. If there is a comeback, if there is a cup set, that'll be part of the lore now. Siaha. Jake Keegan. .30 goals over the last 6 years
Jacob Keegan,
in
number 12,
League
number
One,
7,
and then the center back, Sean Vinberg, comes out. So this is more or less pushing all the chips to the middle of the table for Portland. Free kick, Portland. And you can bet every second it's being tallied. Beckford, full speed. Beckford. There's Morse. Morse may have just got clipped in the face, and Beckford getting into it with Jones-Riley. I think Jones-Riley is fine.
I think Jones-Riley is trying to sell this one. It's the moment here where Beckford doesn't pull out of the challenge with Morse when he takes the heavy touch here. He's got to jump over him. He leaves his leg down. And he knows exactly what he's doing. And then this is, oh, there was actually a little slap out. Oh, there was a slap. Beckford with his right hand. It wasn't much to it.
A yellow card going out to number 7 of
I think Beckford actually caught James Riley in the face. Now watch this after the play. Keep an eye on as he comes over. Watch the right hand of Beckford. There's some sort of slapping motion, right? It's the delayed reaction that's always going to make it seem like there's so much to it. But is there a slap here in the hands of the face? You tell me. Looks like enough. And Beckford has to be smarter to keep his team at a man advantage at this point in time. But again, no video review, so that one cannot be sent to review from a video assistant referee. We don't have that in the second round of the Open Cup, so with that, it can only be what the referee sees in that moment.
Gave a yellow. Ball checked up on the goalkeeper. Chipped it going! Oh, wow! Can you believe this? Jake Keegan! No way! Did they equalize like that?
What a moment! Out of seemingly nothing, the substitute just brought on by Bobby Murphy bravely gets in there, understanding that Siaha's coming out. He's late. Keegan does everything right to get it up and over. And just when you thought the Hearts of Pine were down and out, down a man, Hearts of Pine are back in it.
Unreal. Jake Keegan comes off the bench. Jaeger Cup champion, League One champion. Chips the keeper, bicycle kick! Wide! Whoa! Dieng!
This set up perfectly for Dieng. Now, as this is up in there, he just has to get up and over it. So he's got to wait for this to come down, and he just catches it underneath. Morse was coming out too, so he was not set. That would have been something crazy.
And this stadium just received 100 cc's of pure adrenaline. We are 2 minutes away from spot kicks. On grass, I bet you that checks right into Siaha. On this turf, it almost hit the ground and went straight up. And Keegan had it read best. Lobs the keeper. Is there a winner? Not that, Siaha. All the athleticism, the pace of this Hartford team, they can do it in a blink. Ball down the line. Slid away by Lopez. Could he give you 15 minutes tonight? In truth, he's going to have to give 45.
For Hartford.
And he makes a vital intervention there. Jonathan Jimenez comes in off the bench.
Going in for number 6,
replaces Beverly Makangila. Pinballs around, Jimenez tries to get something on it and sent away. And sent back to Siaha. Over the top, here's Beckford, who is offside. We will have stoppage time to be added here. In total, they'll play about 130 minutes tonight and may well finish level, in which case we go to penalties. Three added minutes.
The fourth official has announced 3 minutes added. 3 minutes.
Farrell. Morse. Jimenez. Goodness, was that a ball? From the edge of the area, ball knocked down. Messer into the corner. Shoves Galeno away. Comes back to Dees Pay. Squares for Scarlett. Samadia crossing. Header off target.
What a ball in that was from Samadia. Time and time again, it's just put in impeccable service. This time he gets caught up in his feet, but watch how he's still able to get his feet sorted, get around it. That curling ball away, pins Morse back, and well, as that went across the face, Beckford threw a distraction to his teammate who couldn't get in front of it and quite frankly didn't expect it to make it beyond Beckford.
100 seconds left. The goal now certainly would be decisive. Couldn't quite sneak it through for Southern. Back from Anderson. Scarlett. Is this one more chance for Hartford to avoid that terrible fate? Penalties for the higher division team, where all the weight's on you. This runs beyond Morse. The likelihood grows.
This match has had it all. It's been absolutely incredible. That substitution where Bobby Murphy took off Vinberg, a center back, and put on Jake Keegan has changed everything. Keegan's timeliness with his movement, composure with the imposing figure of Siaha coming out. It's led us to this moment, and my goodness, what a turn of events.
It's going to take penalties tonight. And in this frigid New England air, the roars of the Hearts faithful, they've seen something utterly earth-shattering. A 25-yard chip from Jake Keegan over Siaha, down a man and down a goal in the dying minutes. They've equalized. Here are the extra time highlights.
Oh, and there's the moment where the ball was headed in just over the line. Lopez tries to save it. It's bounced in, and after a moment of confusion, the goal was confirmed, and up a man, up a goal. You just felt like, was it going to be too much, too insurmountable? Well, on comes the substitute, Jake Keegan. And how is this for composure? Maybe it takes a friendly bounce off the home turf and spins away that it doesn't look like it's going to. You got to have moments that go your way. And the Hearts of Pine faithful lose their mind at that equalizer from Jake Keegan. Hearts of Pine do enough to send it to penalties after
down to the other end, and you're about to watch several thousand people try and climb behind the goal now for that one look. Wait a minute. My God, they're going the wrong way. So the initial call on the coin was that it was going to the other end in front of the Portland bench. And then they reflipped the coin, and so it's down on the scoreboard end.
We have a reversal. All the fans go to the scoreboard side behind the end zone and the goal.
My brother in Christ, I feel you. All right, let's do this. So we've gone 120 minutes. The first goal in extra time scored by Jordan Scarlett at 106, Jake Keegan at 117. There are Morse and Siaha, a light snow ruminating over the last 20 or so minutes will add to the atmosphere. Portland will kick first.
That is important. It's advantageous to go first in a shootout. You apply the pressure to your opponent. Important to note, Liotta was sent off, so he's somebody that you would want to be taking these penalties in this moment.
Because the game went double overtimes and into penalty kicks, there will be no autograph session after the game.
Well, that's unfortunate.
No autograph session after the game.
And now they're changing who's going first.
What are we doing?
We?
Well. So you reflip this coin and
Hartford,
all kinds of chaos.
So Farrell will go first. He's got 4 penalties that he has taken on record. He is 4 for 4. 2 of them have gone to the goalkeeper's right, his left. 1's gone down the middle, and 1's gone to the right. So he's got diversity in which way that he can go. 2 to his left, 1 down the middle, 1 to the right for Joseph Farrell. He's made all 4 of them.
Farrell, the son of a legendary college coach, the longtime head coach at LaSalle, Pat Farrell. Former Rookie of the Year finalist in the championship with Rochester, 5 years in Phoenix. He has spent 10 years in the pro game in the USL Championship.
It's a long time to think about it as well.
As lonely a walk as it is from the halfway line, is far lonelier to be on an island this long. Apparently, no way are we having this discussion.
We're about to.
Apparently, the referee would like to see the fans move, which, what? So they're trying to get it out of the line of vision of the goalkeeper. Been to a handful of games in my time. I usually see fans behind the net on penalties. So they're parting everybody.
Please move away from right behind the goal. Just away from right behind the goal.
All right. Well, now Morse has thought about it. Farrell's thought about it. And we're about to get a thrilling psychology case study. Now that everybody's satisfied.
Bobby Murphy, the head coach, has had to walk over. Portland Hearts Pine head coach has had to walk over to get the message across that our referee is unable to do at this moment in time.
Applauds the fans applaud him.
Good man. In this moment, he's got to worry about doing that job instead of talking to his team. That's a turn of events.
So Farrell will begin the shootout. Farrell against Morse. Morse has been tremendous tonight. Farrell scores, brilliant penalty.
Joseph Farrell with the goal.
Hartford strike first.
1-0 Hartford.
A lot of confidence. That was a long time to think about it for Farrell. And he does a great job of getting it over that middle portion where it's advantageous for the goalkeeper. That is a big time start for Hartford Athletic.
Pat Langlois.
Number 6, Patrick Langlois.
Won the 2024 Jägermeister Cup at Northern Colorado.
2 for his last 2. Both have gone to his right, the goalkeeper's left.
Against Siaha. Langlois, quick run up and sends it right down the middle, sends Siaha the wrong way. Level after 1 round.
Well done from Langlois to understand. He's got a favorite side, he sticks to it. Wasn't really to the corner, but it did enough to be deceptive to send Siaha the wrong way.
Mamadou Dang. Remarkable goal-scoring acumen at the end of last season.
Mamadou Dang.
Senegalese striker. We'll line it up for Hartford. Dieng scores, and again, Morse had it right. Phenomenal penalties from Hartford to start the shootout.
Deng Stutters just trying to wait to see if there was going to be anything from Morse, any sort of giveaway. There wasn't, so he sticks with the plan, does a wonderful job of being able to put that just beyond the reach of Morse, who guessed correctly.
Jake Keegan, what a goal he scored at 117 minutes. He was part of the Northern Colorado team that won the Jägermeister Cup last year.
3 for his last 5. He's missed one either side to the goalkeeper's right and left.
Keegan scores! Siaha the wrong way again. 2-2.
Quality display of penalties so far. Keegan gets under this understanding. Siaha has a big frame, so he's got to get it up. If Siaha guesses correctly, sends him the wrong way, dispatches it expertly.
Sebastian Anderson, 22-year-old native of Colorado who came through the Rapids organization.
Sebastian Anderson.
2 for his last 3. The one that he missed was to the goalkeeper's left, his right. Wonder if that plays into the back of the mind of Anderson in this moment.
Morris has guessed right twice. Can he make that vital save? Anderson saved by Morse!
Hunter Morse with the save for Portland.
Against LAFC 2. Last April, Anderson went the same exact direction. And Hunter Morse guesses correctly. That is the first team to flinch. Advantage to the Pines if they can take it now.
Nate Messer, part of the Rhode Island side that won the championship's Eastern Conference last year, scored in the Open Cup's first round. All of 3 games a year ago. Messer right down the middle. And for the first time tonight, Portland the advantage.
Messer, as this goes to strike it, he just slows it down enough to allow Siaha to get out of the way. And it was hopeful at best from Siaha to throw a leg out at it, but he was unable to get anything on it because Messer was clever with the changeup.
Up next for Hartford,
Michi Galina.
Michi Ingalia.
3 for his last 3. 2 of them have gone to the goalkeeper's right, his left. 1 the opposite direction. He's made all 3 of them.
Gotta have it for Hartford, or they could get eliminated on the next kick. Galina. Galina above the bar! Too cute. He pays a brutal price.
It remains 3-2.
Portland is on the verge.
Watch the body shape as he strikes it. He leans back. His shoulders are not over the ball. Cardinal sin when you take a penalty. You cannot miss. You have to hit the target.
And it all comes down to this. Came on as a substitute, Evan Southern, junior college national champ at Iowa Western, on to James Madison. The 23-year-old can end it right here, produce the first Hearts of Pine upset. Evan Southern to win it for Portland. Southern scores! Their hearts are full! Portland is through!
Portland wins on penalty kicks 4-2.
What a moment for Portland Hearts of Pines. Incredible composure. 4 for 4. Their goalkeeper makes the save. Hartford opens the door by missing it. And for a club that's 5 years in the making, the dream is a reality. The hope is still alive. And it just gets better and better each time they play in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. The dream's not dead. Portland Hearts of Pine continue on to the third round of the Open Cup.
It's only just begun for Portland Hearts of Pine. 2 home games, 2 thrilling wins. And Hearts of Pine advance narrowly over the line in the 106th minute from Jordan Scarlett. The chip at 117 for Keegan. And Hearts take it all the way to penalties. And their first ever shootout features perfection from Morse, from all 4 shooters. Southern the winner. For Jamie Watson, our entire team, Mike Watts saying, wow, what a game. Hearts of Pine on to the third round. Good night.